Hey everyone, I hope you've had a great day so far and that you're doing well. For this video we'll be going through an unboxing of a entry grade 1-144 RX-78-2 Gundam Classic Color, and this is a bit of a Gundam Next Future limited edition of the entry grade Gundam, as well as the fact that it's actually a Ecopla Gundam. So this is probably my first Ecopla kit ever. One, because it's a entry grade RX, which I'm having a weird affinity for, which is really weird. Go back a few years, I wasn't too keen on the RX. But at the same time, it's also an Ecopla. So I was actually quite curious to see what it's all about, because obviously needing to change how things are made. So I'm quite interested to see how it builds. So here we have the front of the box for the Classic Color RX-78-2 entry grade Gundam. Now this is a bit of a artistic look of the Gundam, but based on what it's equipped with, this will be pretty much the standard entry grade RX with the beam rifle and shield. But we do have this nice little emblem about the Ecopla, and I don't think all the kit uses it. I think parts of the runners use it. It's basically comprised of eggshell plastic. So, very interesting. So on the very bottom of the box, I'll actually read it because it's actually quite interesting, because we're in a time of looking at using recyclable materials to basically fuel our hobby addiction. So in the English, we actually have, since this product uses eggshells as a recycled material, which is pretty cool in itself, the parts may give off an eggshell smell when the product is open. Either here or there. I don't think it's a bad thing, unless for some reason you're allergic to eggs. Due to the characteristics of eggshells used, the colors, durability, and shapes of the parts may slightly vary between products. Now I'm assuming it means different entry grade RX-78s and not necessarily differences between this kit and another produced version of it, which quite possibly could be, but regardless, I'm quite interested to see what it's like. So bottom of the box, because it actually has some color as opposed to being a monochromatic box. So we have a front and rear shot of the RX-78-2 Gundam entry grade. Now that's pretty much exactly as we've seen it. There's definitely nothing unusual about it, and the classic color, as they have called this one, as part of the hues created through the recycling process. So I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. And then here we go. I won't read through all of this, but just this section provides a bit more of an explanation as to the whole concept of the Ecopla. Now it looks like the B1 runner is potentially Ecopla, which is interesting because B1, B2, B3, B4 are all part of the same B, so interesting to see how that works. Bit of a blurb about what are Ecopla on the side of the box. In terms of what's inside, well, pretty much becoming quite used to seeing this. 2 bags of plastic. Oh, that's interesting. So there is no B1, 2, 3, and 4. It's all a B1 runner. Very cool. And then the manual, which we're getting quite used to seeing. So I will crack open these bags and then we'll have a quick zip through the contents, because regardless of being an Ecopla or not, it is still an entry grade RX-78-2 Gundam, which we have seen plenty of times. And with everything now out of the bags, here we have the front of the manual with a breakdown of all the components that will build the RX-78-2. The B runner actually in this iteration is going to be a complete B runner, I guess because it is part of the Ecopla build, but it is still at the end of the day a B1, 2, 3, and 4, so it's definitely nothing that we have not seen before. What is Gunpla? But the insides actually does talk a bit more about some of the concept of recycled builds. So we do have some information about the Ecopla, some information about the, is it Limex? Because I believe some of the, was it the imaginary, no, I don't think it was the imaginary skeletons, but there have been some kits that have actually used this Limex. I want to say it was imaginary skeletons, but maybe not. Dinosaur skeleton. Suffice to say, I can't remember, but this is very cool. And then we'll just have more information about the concept of the Gunpla recycling project. It's interesting what Japan are basically doing. And then a bit more discussion of Ecopla. And I do know there is a bit more Ecopla floating around these days as well. Back to the front. In terms of the parts list, even though it's the entry grade RX-78, that B runner is basically now a complete B runner as opposed to being 4 quadrants. However, build is still exactly the same, just that different color. As for the runners, so A's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they are multicolored. We have the darker grey, we have a light grey, and I dare say we have a light stonewall grey. I don't know, the more greys I look at, it actually reminds me of the colour scheme I decided to sit with for my Sisters of Battle back in the day. Well before they came out in plastic. Those were the days. But anyway, those are the A components. We have seen them all before, but it is nice to see them in a slightly different color. Now, I guess the interesting part is the actual B1 runner itself. Now, visually, it does have that warm color hue about it. So, I mean, if I was to give the actual color a name, I guess it's probably beige. In terms of smell, because I actually was quite curious if it would smell like eggshells, to be honest, I really couldn't tell. I mean, it has a scent, but I didn't find it at all, you know, an uncomfortable scent. Now, in terms of the feel of it, it does actually feel a bit thicker than what we're used to. Well, at least the injection frame is. The actual components themselves I don't think are any thicker than usual. I mean, they kind of feel thicker, but it's quite possibly down to how they have been created. They do feel a bit more solid. But in saying that, I'm also not expecting them to break in two at the drop of a hat. For all intents and purposes, if I didn't read any of the Ecopla blurbage around the box or the manual, I would have thought it was just another type of plastic material used. But everything else, once again, if this kit was put together and put in front of you, unless you had intimate knowledge beforehand, you would probably not realize that it was a Ecopla kit. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how all of this snaps out and everything. Everything looks exactly the same as we've seen before. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not expecting anything unusual, but I am quite curious to see how well all of this cuts out. But yeah, otherwise, it's pretty much like anything else that we've seen, really. It's definitely hard to explain on the video because it's one of those things that you need to rely on a bit of your tactile touch to really feel some of the differences visually. If I was to pull out a B1, 2, 3, and 4 from a previous RX-78-2 entry grade, other than the color and then questioning why it's on a different style of runner, you would be hard pressed to visually realize there was a difference. But that is the B runner. So that brings us to the end of the unboxing of the RX-78-2 Gundam Classic Color. This being a Ecopla type of Gunpla kit. I'm definitely interested to see how well this all builds and snaps together. I suspect probably it's not going to feel any real different to what I'm used to. But yeah, it's definitely a interesting time to build some of these kits that are now looking to try and make use of recyclables. I'm definitely quite interested to see how it goes. And who knows, it could be the beginnings of more, sustainable Gunpla building, especially given the last few years has proven that even Gunpla is not invincible to production and general demand of product. So we'll see how things go. Thank you very much for watching this video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account. A link to that is in the description below. Stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in a future video. See ya.